The sterile halls of the Kepler Medical Station echoed with the desperate hum of failing life support systems. In the emergency ward's most critical bay, Chief Medical Officer Vashti stared at the readouts with growing despair, her 6 arms moving frantically across holographic displays that stubbornly refused to show any improvement. "Cellular degradation accelerating," announced her assistant, Dr. Quilp, whose gelatinous form rippled with anxiety. "The toxin is breaking down his molecular structure faster than our nanobots can repair it." On the biobed, Lieutenant Zenko of the Altarian Defense Corps lay dying. The young soldier's normally vibrant orange skin had faded to a sickly yellow-green, and his breathing came in ragged gasps that grew weaker with each passing moment. The wound on his arm, a seemingly minor cut from a thorn during the botanical survey mission, had become the entry point for something that was systematically destroying him from the inside out. "Have we tried the full spectrum of anti-toxin protocols?" Vashti asked, though she already knew the answer. "Everything," Dr. Quilp confirmed, his voice modulator struggling to mask his dejection. "Molecular filtration, genetic reconstruction therapy, even the experimental quantum healing matrix. The toxin adapts faster than we can counter it." Around the medical bay, the galaxy's finest medical minds had gathered in a last-ditch effort to save the young officer. Dr. Senera, a renowned crystalline healer whose species had mastered cellular manipulation millennia ago, had declared the case impossible. The mechanist surgeons with their precision nanotools had admitted defeat. Even the ethereal consciousness healers had withdrawn their luminous tendrils in failure. "Sir," came a hesitant voice from the doorway. "Sorry to interrupt, but there's a human here who says he might be able to help." Vashti's primary eyes swiveled toward the entrance, where a maintenance technician human designation Sarah Chen stood with obvious uncertainty. The human was small by galactic standards, wearing the simple coveralls of the station's engineering crew, and carried what appeared to be a primitive plant container. A human? Dr. Quilp's gelatinous mass quivered with something between confusion and hope. What could a no-offense technologically limited species possibly offer that our combined medical expertise cannot achieve? Sarah stepped forward, her eyes taking in the sophisticated medical equipment with a mixture of awe and pragmatism. "I heard about the botanical toxin case. Where I come from, we call this kind of thing plant poisoning, and well..." She held up the small potted plant. "Sometimes the cure grows right next to the problem." The assembled medical team exchanged glances that spanned dozens of species and twice as many expressions of polite skepticism. Dr. Vashti's training in interspecies diplomacy warred with her growing desperation. "Human Sarah, while we appreciate your concern, this toxin has proven resistant to the most advanced medical technology in the galaxy. Our molecular scanners indicate it's unlike anything in our databases, a compound that actively evolves to counter treatment." "Yeah, that sounds like devil's thorn," Sarah said casually, examining the readings on nearby monitors with surprising comprehension. "We've got them all over the Pacific Northwest. Nasty little plant. The poison changes its chemical structure to fight whatever you throw at it." She paused, then added almost apologetically, "But there's usually a simple fix." Before anyone could protest, Sarah had moved to Lieutenant Zenko's bedside and was gently examining the wound. The dying soldier's eyes fluttered open, focusing with difficulty on the human face above him. "This is highly irregular," Dr. Senara chimed, her crystalline form refracting the room's light into anxious patterns. "We cannot allow untested." "With respect," Sarah interrupted, already reaching for her plant. "He's dying anyway, right? What's the worst that could happen?" The brutal logic of the statement silenced the room. Sarah carefully plucked a single leaf from her plants, something she called plantain, though the universal translator struggled with the simple earth term. The leaf was unremarkable, green, slightly fuzzy, and utterly primitive by galactic standards. "This is insane," whispered Dr. Quilp, but he made no move to stop her. Sarah chewed the leaf briefly, an action that caused several alien species to recoil in disgust, then removed it from her mouth and placed the pulped plant matter directly onto Zeno's wound. "The saliva activates the natural compounds," she explained matter-of-factly, as if discussing routine maintenance procedures. "Plantain's been used for wound healing on Earth for thousands of years. We call it nature's Band-Aid." For a moment, nothing happened. The sophisticated medical equipment continued its ominous warnings, and the assembled doctors began to murmur among themselves about primitive superstitions and the tragic futility of. Then the readings changed. "Impossible," breathed Dr. Vashti, her 6 arms freezing over the displays. "The toxin levels are dropping." Lieutenant Zenko's labored breathing began to ease. The sickly discoloration of his skin started to fade, replaced by healthier orange hues. Most remarkably, the wound itself began to close, the surrounding tissue regenerating at a rate that made their advanced nanobots look sluggish. "How?" Dr. Senara's crystalline voice carried harmonics of pure bewilderment. "Our analysis showed the toxin was designed to evolve past any countermeasure." Sarah shrugged, carefully monitoring her patient's improvement. Devil's Thorn and plantain co-evolved on Earth for millions of years. The plant had to get really good at neutralizing the poison, or it would have been wiped out. Natural selection's a hell of a thing. Dr. Quilp's gelatinous form rippled with rapid data processing. "You're suggesting that this primitive plant developed countermeasures through evolutionary pressure that surpass our technological solutions." "Not primitive," Sarah corrected gently, replacing the used leaf with a fresh one. "Just experienced. Earth's been trying to kill everything on it for about 4 billion years. Plants that survived learned some pretty impressive tricks." Within an hour, Lieutenant Zenko was sitting up, the wound completely healed, requesting permission to return to duty. The medical team, that had spent days fighting an impossible toxin with the galaxy's most advanced equipment, watched in stunned silence as a human packed up her simple plant and prepared to return to her maintenance duties. "Human Sarah," Dr. Vashti called as she reached the door. "How many other Earth plants have these properties?" Sarah paused, considering the question with the seriousness it deserved. "Well, there's willow bark for pain, echinacea for immunity, aloe for burns, ginger for nausea." She trailed off, seeing the increasingly wide-eyed expressions around her. "Maybe I should talk to someone about setting up a botanical exchange program." After she left, the medical bay remained quiet, except for the healthy beeping of Lieutenant Zenko's monitors. Dr. Quilp finally voiced what they were all thinking. "How many problems have we been over-engineering solutions for?" Dr. Vashti began composing her report to the Galactic Medical Council, though she suspected they would never believe it. In her recommendation section, she wrote, "Immediate establishment of Earth Botanical Research Initiative. Priority, maximum." Sometimes, she reflected, the most advanced civilizations had the most to learn from the simplest solutions.